Was UFC 326 a massive letdown, and could we really see Conor McGregor versus Charles Oliveira next? Before I get into that, if you're new here, make sure to like and subscribe because it really does help the channel out. Charles versus Max was supposed to be a generational fight. Two legends, two former champions with unfinished business from over a decade ago going at it in a huge war, and we did get that for about 5 seconds at the end of the 5th round, and that's about it. This did not live up to the hype at all, and going into 326, I knew the grappling gap between Charles and Max was going to be huge. Oliveira is one of the most dangerous submission specialists we've ever seen, and Max has never really been known for his grappling, but I didn't expect Charles to take Max down so easily, and it was clear he could do it at will. Early in the fight, they traded a little on the feet. Holloway landed some decent combinations and Oliveira threw some big leg kicks, but the moment Charles decided he wanted to fight on the ground, he just closed the distance, lifted Max up and dumped him straight onto the ground with ease. From there, he immediately went to work, moving into side control, threatening the back take, locking up a rear naked choke attempt, and honestly, I thought it might be over there and then in the first round, but I will say Max stayed calm. He fought the hands, defended the chokes, and survived. But that's the problem, right? Surviving isn't enough. Defending isn't enough. You have to get some offense off, but Oliveira just kept dragging him down over and over again. Body locks, trips, double legs, whatever he needed, whenever he wanted, and Max just couldn't do anything about it at all, and he couldn't get anything going. But at the same time, Charles seemed more interested in holding positions rather than actually finishing the fight. There was a clear focus on control rather than chasing something risky, and let's be honest, it was fucking boring, and Joe Rogan can fuck off when he says anyone booing in the crowd is a casual. I'm sick of the UFC and the commenters berating their audience. Sure, I can't blame Charles, he did exactly what he needed to get the win, but let's not pretend this was a fun fight. I love grappling as much as the next guy, but this wasn't some high leveling grappling war with slick transitions and scrambles. Charles was happy to sit in position and threaten the odd neck crank here and there, and the crowd hated it. I hated it, and for good reason. It was dogfight, right? This fight was supposed to determine the baddest motherfucker, and it ended up being the most boring motherfucker belt. But look, credit where credit is due. Charles dominated the fight and it was a clean sweep across the scorecards, but we all know it wasn't entertaining. But let's put that behind us and let's see what's next for Max and Charles. Who should they really fight next? There's already a lot of chatter about Charles Oliveira versus Conor McGregor for the BMF belt, and yeah, I'd love to see that fight. It would be incredibly exciting, but please, let's stop pretending Conor is actually coming back. Every few months he pops his head up saying that he's going to be returning, and nothing ever comes of it. This has been going on for years now, and I'm not believing anything from Conor until he's in that cage and that door is locked. But if he does come back, the BMF belt does make sense. But let's park that for now and look at something more realistic. The most likely matchup for Oliveira is probably the winner of Ilia Topuria versus Justin Gaethje, but we'll have to see how that plays out and if Charles is willing to wait that long. So maybe instead the fight to make right now would be a rematch with Arman Tsarukyan. Their first fight was incredibly close, and there's a strong argument that Oliveira actually won that fight, and if you run it back you can get a clear #1 contender at lightweight. But what about Max Holloway? At this point, it feels like 155 is his permanent home. 3 of his last fights have been at lightweight, and he's beaten 2 of the best with Dustin and Justin. Yeah, he could go back down to featherweight, but what's really there for him? He's not getting another shot at Volk, and there's not much point in killing himself to make the weight again. So surely his next fight has to be at 155, right? And I think there are 2 really fun options. The first is Michael Chandler after the White House card. 2 big names, 2 stand and bang fighters, and it will be an incredibly fun fight. But the fight I think they'll actually make next, and I know you're all gonna laugh at me, but I think it's Max Holloway versus Paddy Pimblett. Even though Paddy lost to Justin Gaethje recently, the UFC is still very high on him and clearly wants to keep pushing him towards the top. Putting him in there against someone like Max gives him a massive name to fight, and seeing how much Max struggled with the grappling exchanges against Oliveira, it's a fight Paddy could realistically win, and if he does, it pushes him straight back into the spotlight, exactly where the UFC wants him. But let me know what you thought of UFC 326 in the comments, and who you think Oliveira and Holloway should fight next. Thank you everyone for watching. If you can like, comment and subscribe, it really does help the channel out.